Breaking right now, those hypocrites are preparing to commercialize the children in 2026. Nothing else could explain not only the release of this truly weird Christmas photo, where pretty much you see the children in full, like, come on, give this game up. But at the same time, Harry and Meghan have also announced that they will be rebranding their Archie Foundation, changing the funding structure in order to let the 4-year-old and the 6-year-old get involved in their fundraising effort. In other words, I'm going to translate for you. The money is running out. The interest is waning. Despite everything Prince Harry has said about trying to protect the identity of Archie and Lily, Meghan has won the battle. The weirdness in the upbringing of the children will continue, but trust me, it's going to be public. And Harry, yes, is going to look like a hypocritical fool, but actually, things have already got far worse today. That little racist Prince Harry has struck again. I mean, if he's not calling his army mates the P word, if he's not wearing a Nazi uniform, he's even describing his own child as a little African. Now, clearly that raises lots of issues if you're a woke-topian, especially, by the way, if you're a woke-topian who has decided to make a royal family conversation, a private royal family conversation, public, to suggest that King Charles and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, are racist. Now, this claim has emerged via Tina Brown, one of the most respected royal writers in the world, former editor of Vanity Fair, former close friend of Princess Diana during her life. But Harry has said, oh, she's lying. Of course she's lying, that this never happened. The claim is that Harry told Jane Goodall that Archie was his little African child after he were born. The claim was made, and this is really going to hurt, to a close friend of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a propagandist in their media sphere called Katie Couric. But Harry has lashed out, telling Newsweek the Duke of Sussex has never said anything remotely resembling what has been claimed. Tina Brown knows exactly what she's doing by inventing these words and attributing them to a highly respected woman who is deceased and unable to correct the record. Okay, so Tina Brown's a liar now, is she? Tina Brown's the liar. Okay, so let's look at Tina Brown's career and see how many lies she's told. Let's look at Prince Harry's career and look at how many lies he tells on a weekly basis. How many lies his wife tells on a weekly basis. But let's watch this conversation now between Tina Brown and Katie Couric.
Goodall, before she died, I had a lunch with her, and she said that she went to see. She was one of the only people outside the family that went to see Archie when he was born, and Harry said, "This is my little African child. It's going to be my child who, essentially, we're going, wild child. Essentially, they were going to have this time together, sort of living a life off the grid, as it were." And she said she was absolutely stunned when, he chose the life that he did. So that's the anomalous part. And I suspect that if you ask Harry where he'd rather be, I bet he'd rather be really living that kind of life, actually. But, he fell in love with a woman who didn't want that at all. So I think that also has its poignant side.
Who do you believe? Well, I know. I'm backing Tina Brown. Of course she's telling the truth. Slight clarification from her, but again, this shows that she's a journalist worth her mettle today, telling the Royalist Substack. On Katie Couric's podcast on Wednesday the 17th, I recounted what Jane Goodall said to me in June of this year about Prince Harry. She remembered affectionately Harry saying, when Archie was born, "I want you to come and meet my African child." She actually said Africa child, but I was speaking too quickly. Aside from that inadvertent mistake, everything else in Ms. Goodall's conversation with me, I rendered accurately. A source in Harry's camp brushed off Brown's clarification, saying doubling down, but now clarifying inadvertent mistakes. What else is she getting wrong? But the problem is, this is when we can put no stock in any denial coming from Montecito, given they lie. They've lied about conversations with King Charles in recent weeks. They've lied about Meghan's behavior in regards to her father in recent weeks. And they don't want this out there because it makes Meghan look as if she's it makes Harry look as if he's a little bit racist about Archie, something they accuse the royal family of being. As the Royal News Network posted, Harry's team is offering a bombastic response to the allegation that Harry claimed Archie was his little African child to Jane Goodall, as reported by Tina Brown. Of course, his team is right that there's no way to verify whether or not the statement was said, but I find the continuing devolving of the Sussexes PR team an indication of strife and tension behind the scenes. The strong response always feels like Lady, or in this case, the Prince, doth protest too much. A measured and less childish response would offer some dignity rather than lashing out like a toddler. And of course, we know that this was a PR move by these people, because remember what Meghan had said in the Archetypes podcast.
I just had my genealogy done a couple years ago.
What?
What are you? 43% Nigerian.
No way! No, whoa, Jacqueline. Oh my gosh, are you really serious?
Yeah.
This is huge. Igbo, Yoruba, do we know?
So I mean, I'm going to start to dig deeper into all this, because anyone that I've told, especially Nigerian women, are just like, what?
This is huge for our community. No, honestly, you do look like a Nigerian. You look like my Aunt Uzo. So this is great.
Oh my goodness, Uzo.
Shout out.
So this was absolutely part of what Harry and Meghan were trying to push back then, but they know that because it's made them look like absolute hypocrites, now they have to reverse it. And Tash, according to Taz, royal YouTube sensation, is with me now. I mean, there's so much to go on here. But firstly, give me your reaction to whether you believe Tina Brown or Prince Harry.
I would say, after everything that Harry and Meghan have lied about over the years and how continuously that they do so freely, and then you have Tina Brown, I'm more inclined to believe Tina Brown. The fact that straight away Harry shot back, like Royal News Network said, like a toddler tantrum, very, very reactive, not thought about at all. But Tina did bounce back and said, actually, I might have said African, but it was Africa child. I mean, that's just splitting hairs. But the point is, she is standing by what Jane Goodall told her. And I believe that conversation did more than likely happen just because of Harry's attitude. I mean, he has said so many things to do with racism within the royal family, yet Harry alone, with the modern generation, is the one that's been caught out being racist and saying ignorant things multiple times, multiple times. So yes, I do believe that Harry would have turned around and said, oh, this is my Africa child.
Of course he would have. Of course he would have. But Tash, when you zoom out of that, it makes their horror at two members of the royal family potentially having a discussion with Harry about the skin tone of this baby, something that they tried to turn into an international scandal, look totally hypocritical.
Completely ridiculous. It is completely ridiculous. And I know everybody's gone over that conversation so many times because it's completely normal to wonder what your child is going to look like, which parent it's going to take after. But yes, I mean, it does make all of their claims of racism. They try to turn that simple question that so many people just wonder, they think about, even conversations between husbands and wives or the mother and father, who's the baby, whose nose it going to have? And they try to turn it into a way to burn the monarchy to the ground. This talking about racism coming from within. And it was just a normal conversation. It does undo a lot of what they said, but I think now, so many years later, I don't think many people really believe what they told Oprah had any truth to it whatsoever. I mean, they've done so many allegations and accusations at the royal family. And as I said, Harry, with all of the incidences that he's been caught out in, not just when he was in the army, but afterwards. I think with Chelsea Davy, he said in a conversation about, well, she's not black, you know. And then I think he even went up to a comedian, was it Stephen Amos, after a show, and turned around and said, "You don't sound like a black chap." I mean, if anybody is racist in that family, not obviously counting the infamous, the uniform and everything else, he's just a walking hypocrite. He is the biggest hypocrite. They both are.
There are definitely a whole track record of racism allegations against Harry. What's so interesting to me about this, though, Tash, is yet again, they are the ones declaring war here. Like, actually, it was a relatively soft conversation between Tina Brown and Katie Couric. I wouldn't say that Tina Brown, in the way that she made that revelation, was trying to suggest that Harry was racist in any way. But because they are so hypersensitive, Tash, because of the claims that they have made, yet again, this gets blown up. This gets turned into scandal number one. They try to claim that Tina Brown is lying about what Jane Goodall told her. Now, that's pretty offensive because when you think about it, Tina Brown was meeting with Jane Goodall in September. That was literally weeks before her death, right? In October. So you'd imagine they're pretty close. Can we really believe that Harry and Meghan were that close to Jane Goodall, given they didn't even bother to attend her funeral? So again, I find it highly offensive. Tina Brown has obviously dealt with this in a dignified manner. And this is someone, by the way, who has decades of journalistic credibility. So the idea that we're going to take Harry and Meghan's word for it, given how much their word has been trashed. And I will just say, Tash, Diana would have been disgusted because, of course, she was close with Tina Brown.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, it is the whole story with them. It's the boy who cried wolf. No one's going to believe them anymore. They've told too many lies over silly little things, over big, huge things, and it's continuous. It's that expression, if the lips are moving, then someone's still lying. I mean, it is unbelievable the amount of things that they have been caught out with telling lies about. And even when Jane Goodall died, let's not forget that they did the big statement. So they got themselves into the media. They gave a press release talking about how much she meant to them and their family. But Jane Goodall herself had actually spoken to People magazine saying, I only met them a couple of times. I think it's so ridiculous that people make out that Harry and I are close when we're not. So again, it's Harry and Meghan trying to manipulate even a woman's passing and death. And yet they throw this accusation at Tina Brown saying, how dare she? Because Jane's not here to defend herself because she's now passed away. I mean, they put a statement out there trying to make themselves out that they were really, really close to this woman. They really should pick their battles. And as Brittany said at Royal News Network, they need to stop fighting back over silly little things because it causes the Streisand effect. Now people are looking harder.
As they should be. And remember, Tina Brown, for a long time, was totally in Harry and Meghan's camp when people like me were saying, Tina Brown, you're crazy. But even she has had to understand that actually you can only report the truth if you are a real journalist. And at the end of the day, the truth regarding Harry and Meghan is very bad. I mean, let's just look back to Spare, for example, when it came to discussing Africa, Harry tried to make out that the big issue was Prince William. And the fact that William was in some way stopping him going to Africa. Again, Tash, total bullshit. Total bullshit. William was really very much behind this plan for Harry and Meghan to spend a significant part of the time in Africa because he thought it would be great that they would be out of his hair. But of course, Meghan lied to Harry about her love of Africa, pretended that this was the woman who just loved going with a small little bag to Botswana and was in a tent. And, she was cosplaying the woman who she knew Harry wanted her to be. But anyway, this is what Harry wrote in Spare. One small problem, this is talking about Africa, Willie. Africa was his thing, he said, and he had the right to say this, or felt he did, because he was the heir. It was ever in his power to veto my thing, and he had every intention of exercising, even flexing, that veto power. We'd had some real rows about it. After a friend suggested they could both pursue projects in Africa, Harry said Willie had a fit because rhinos, elephants, that's mine. It was also obvious he cared less about finding his purpose or passion than about winning his lifelong competition with me. And Tash, given we know that Harry is so obsessed with this apparent competition with William, you can imagine that is why he also decided to label Archie the Africa child, because it was something that he had over William, because of course William's children were English. Something I'm sure he's actually very proud of.
It is that final bit. Honestly, I nearly choked then reading that bit. It is him saying that my brother had no purpose. He could do nothing with his time other than continue trying to wage war against me. This is perfectly the explanation of triangulation. This is Harry accusing his brother of everything that he's doing. This is Harry that will not move on. This is Harry that will not stop waging war and trying to provoke his brother in every possible way that he can. And in Spare, I mean, there were so many things in there that did make you laugh. But that's honestly unbelievable that he could even think that people would believe that. It's so clearly obvious. He is the jealous one. He is the one that is constantly trying to rile the royal family. Like recently, I have noticed with the amount of trips he's doing to Canada and the Canadian military, it's almost like Harry is trying to stake a claim in Canada. It's like he knows that his father is the head of state. Prince William will be head of state, but even meddling with things, the Canadian politics, the Canadian real estate, Canadian military. And I can't help but feel that Harry is the one that would try and think that he can lay claim to a country or to a continent. And I do believe that Tina Brown is telling the truth. And I do believe that Harry did say that about his child. And I do believe that you're right, Dan. I do believe it would be a way for Harry to say Africa is mine. In like he lives in some sort of Lion King Disney world, doesn't he? Just you can't make it up.
100%. Now, this interview riled a lot of people for other reasons, Tash, because the context is, as I say, that Katie Couric is a Harry and Meghan stan. She has been
Oh,
pictured with them consistently. She's a propagandist for them. She buys into their woke bullshit. I find it all a bit ironic, by the way, given that Katie Couric is someone who attended that dinner at Jeffrey Epstein's house with then Prince Andrew. So her holier than thou act is something I don't really buy into. But anyway, she has very much decided to team with Harry and Meghan. So in this interview with Tina Brown, and I think Tina Brown is fair, Tash. I don't agree with her on everything. That's not saying I believe or agree with everything that Tina Brown says, but I think she is fair and she doesn't particularly have a team. Like, she will report quite toughly on William and Catherine when she thinks it's right to do so. And she'll do the same thing now with Harry and Meghan. But of course, Katie Couric is not like that. She's a propagandist. So she used this interview, Tash, quite clearly to try and make some little digs at William and Catherine, but plain dumb while she was doing so. But we saw right through it. Nancy Sidley posted, the way Katie Couric looks absolutely crushed by Tina Brown's answer here is priceless, and spare us the act of not knowing the Princess of Wales title only to then casually call her Kate. The disrespect isn't accidental, it's the point. And just watch what went down here, Tash.
They
Let
just
me ask you about the royal family writ large. You know, it's been obviously an incredibly difficult year for King Charles and for Kate Middleton. What is her title?
princess. She's the Princess of Wales.
The Princess of Wales, exactly. And, you know, I think honestly around the world, particularly with Kate, I know they've had their ups and downs through the years. How are they doing in terms of popularity right now?
Well, William is enormously popular, and Kate is adored. You know, I mean, they're very, very popular. And
All of
You
that
could see that,
set
like,
up, Tash. Yeah, exactly. All of that set up. Oh, Kate, awful Kate. Only to be told a piece of information that, like, totally doesn't fit with the narrative that Katie Couric was trying to put out.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear the bitchy undertone to that. I mean, you
Yes.
really can, listening to the moment where she says, What is her title again? You know what her title is. Everybody knows what her title is. Everybody knows that she now has the title that Prince William's mother did, Princess Diana. And Nancy's also managed to find an article that was written by Katie Couric from several years ago, where she was talking about how upset she was when Diana passed away. She knows exactly what Catherine's titles are. And then she did struggle to process it, but then it was like, oh, yeah, Kate. She's just told you it's the Princess of Wales, and she's still, yeah, absolutely catty. You can tell that she's in Meghan's camp. And again, it is that whole they're all cut from the same cloth. People that defend Meghan behave like Meghan. And I believe that's why there's certain people that will always back Meghan and Harry, no matter what it is that they do. For whatever reason, Katie wanted to take a swipe at Catherine, and you could really tell there was a catty undertone, which, yeah, it's just ridiculous. A grown woman behaving like that, behaving like a Meghan Markle Sussex Squad fan.
But that is what she is now. I mean, Nancy Silly was so angry about this, Tash. She added proof that
Oh, she's
Katie Couric
furious.
is a hack. She suddenly sees which ways the wind is blowing. There's no more money in being Team Harry and Meghan, so now the tune changes. YouTube is going to explode in 2026. Remember who didn't sell out. Choose your creators wisely. Tim Dillon, Jimmy Dore, Dan Wootton, thank you. It's Link Lauren, Meghan Kelly, Maureen Callahan, just to name a few. You don't have to agree with everything they say, but at least they have integrity. So thank you for that, Nancy. Do you agree, Tash?
Oh, of course I do, especially the list of people they've got on there. I mean, I love all of those people. But yeah, it's true. There's so many people that they're like flags in the wind. We've even seen it with some of the royal reporters that were on the royal rota. And you can see the way that they've switched allegiance, as it were, that they go whichever side, I guess, is the one that is perhaps they're being told from their bosses who they are to promote. But yeah, you've seen a lot of people really again take aim at the Prince and Princess of Wales when they still to this day have never done a single thing wrong. Yet you see these people jump on the tiniest things and turn any tiny situation into an opportunity to try and get a dig in there. Very much the same as Harry and Meghan's sort of behavior.
Indeed. And then we see ludicrous pieces like this from People magazine. And again, let's just stress People magazine is effectively part of the PR operation now for Harry and Meghan. But the awkward thing is they know that Catherine and William are popular, so they have to find ways to continue to cover the British royal family. So they've done this news story inside Kate Middleton and Prince William's reconnected marriage. He treats her like his bride, but as the Royal News Network argued, this is just complete BS. It seems that People is not getting as much real royal attention and is having to utilize the most obscure royal source to create a story. It's rather embarrassing. And this is because the magazine said after a trying chapter, the Prince and Princess of Wales are moving forward more in sync than ever. Those close to Kate Middleton and William, they report, say they have emerged more connected than ever after a turbulent few years. After more than 20 years together, the Prince and Princess of Wales have shown subtle but unmistakable shifts in their dynamic. Gentle touches, shared smiles, hands resting on each other's back. He treats her like his bride, royal historian Amanda Foreman tells People in this week's cover story. They seem more loved up than ever. And that is literally the extent of what they've got to justify this cover story, Tash. But I think the point that the Royal News Network was making quite importantly there is that this is a hit job, actually, because the suggestion inside Kate Middleton's and Prince William's reconnected marriage is to suggest that at some point it wasn't connected, yet the story doesn't back that up whatsoever. But this is no longer a magazine that can be trusted because, as we know, Tash, it now drives 20% of all traffic to Meghan Markle's As Ever website.
I mean, I'm in total agreement. Of course, it was a hit job. This is what magazines like this do. They put out a story and make it look like that they're being nice because they've got a lovely picture of Catherine on the front. But what they're actually doing is to imply that there have previously been problems, that perhaps it was only because of Catherine's cancer that they're still together. You know the implications are there. You've just got to read between the lines. Personally, I see a story like that, especially People magazine. I refuse to read them outright. Especially, I have actually stopped reading any articles where they call her Kate Middleton, because it's just at this point they're deliberately going out of their way to be offensive towards her. So I think, well, I won't give you the clicks. But to imply that there's something different about their marriage is just ridiculous. I mean, plenty of couples, when their children start getting older, they go back to, rather than just being constantly mum and dad, they go back to being husband and wife a bit more, because they've got a little bit of a break from the children going to school. The children are now older. I mean, George and Charlotte are going to be teens and tweens next year. I mean, this family have always been close knit. They've always been strong. I've never even once believed a single thing to do with problems in Catherine's and William's marriage. It's just stirring that started, funnily enough, when the rumours all began, was the moment that Meghan Markle got her toe behind palace gates. That's when all of the real nasty gossip started getting stirred up about this couple, and it has long continued.
Totally. We know who was behind it. We know who is still behind it.
Yep.
Yeah, very, very well said, Tash. Very well said. Thank you so much. But look, there's also been this bizarre trip that Harry has decided to take without Meghan.
Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, have offered their clearest public glimpse yet of their children, while unveiling a major rebrand of their charitable organisation, Archewell. A newly released photograph shared on Meghan's Instagram account shows a rare family moment. In the image, Prince Archie is seen wrapping his arms around his father, while Meghan stands nearby, holding hands with Princess Lilibet. The young girl is dressed in a blue outfit with long socks and silver shoes, while Meghan wears a simple cream-coloured dress. The family is pictured standing on a wooden bridge, creating a calm and intimate scene that contrasts with the couple's usually guarded approach to sharing images of their children. The photograph was released alongside news that the couple's joint charity, previously known as the Archewell Foundation, is being renamed Archewell Philanthropies. The change marks 5 years since the organisation was established following Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from official royal duties and relocate to California. Earlier the same day, a short video shared on the couple's Instagram account showed brief footage of Archie and Lilibet taking part in a charitable activity. The children were seen helping to carry food trays and assisting their father as he pushed a trolley filled with meals intended for people in need. The footage was reportedly filmed during Thanksgiving in California and offered another rare insight into the family's private life. The video was accompanied by a seasonal message sent on behalf of Prince Harry and Meghan, as well as their organisation, wishing supporters a happy holiday period and a joyful new year. The images are believed to have been taken last month when the family participated in a community food initiative in Los Angeles. During that visit, the Archewell Foundation partnered with a local charity to prepare meals for people facing hardship. Meghan was seen wearing a cap and apron bearing the Archewell logo, while Harry rolled up his sleeves and wore an apron from the partner organisation. The rebrand comes as Archewell undergoes structural changes designed to expand its global reach. Under the new model, the organisation will move to what is known as fiscal sponsorship status. This arrangement allows a smaller charitable body to operate under the legal and tax framework of a larger, established, non-profit organisation. The structure is commonly used to simplify administration while allowing charitable projects to scale internationally. With this change, an established non-profit entity will oversee compliance, financial management, and global grant-making. Prince Harry and Meghan are expected to continue directing the overall mission, selecting priorities and deciding which initiatives and partnerships to support. It is understood that the new approach will allow the couple to focus more heavily on distributing grants worldwide rather than managing day-to-day administrative processes. The Sussexes have described the transition as a family-led effort, with the updated structure intended to create space for their children to be part of a long-term philanthropic identity. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said the new chapter would enable the couple to broaden their global charitable work as a family, while remaining grounded in the same values and commitments that have guided Archewell since its creation. Since its launch, Archewell has focused on causes including safer digital spaces, the responsible development of artificial intelligence, and humanitarian support for children affected by conflict in regions such as Gaza and Ukraine. The rebrand follows a year of wider changes for Meghan, who previously dropped plans for a lifestyle brand due to trademark issues and later launched a new venture under a different name. These developments coincided with changes to her media projects, including a new podcast direction following the end of a previous deal. Founded in the year 2020, Archewell has served as the central hub for the Sussexes' post-royal philanthropic work. The organisation has largely relied on donations from anonymous wealthy benefactors. In the most recent financial year, it distributed just over £1 million to charitable causes and received more than £4 million in grants, with the majority coming from a single large contribution through a United States-based charitable fund. The name Archewell was inspired by a combination of a Greek term meaning source of action and the English word well, reflecting the couple's stated aim to promote positive change through service and community support.